So every week I get like dozens of questions from people that I would consider to be lumped into the category of tune-up. There's a lot of people who watch this channel who are trying to learn the basics, who are trying to, they're just getting into messing with, classic cars, vintage cars, hot rods, and they're mystified by certain things that guys with experience take for granted. So I said, you know what, let's combine it all and let's do one big comprehensive tune-up video. And every time I actually thought about it, I said, well, we got to show this, we got to show that, we got to show the other thing. It just kept getting more and more layered, because we're not talking about tuning up one specific car, we're talking about the tune-up as a whole. So to cover all of the different, configurations and styles and makes and variations and so on and so forth, in one video, it would be hours long, it would be very convoluted, and it would be redundant for a lot of guys that know about certain things but don't know about others. So I figured, let's break this down into a series and let's do a classic car, vintage car, basic car, tune-up video and cover all of the basics. So let's start with like the real basics. Tools. Obviously, you're going to need tools. You're going to need the spark plug socket that works on your particular car. You're going to need extensions and swivels and all of that. Sometimes you run into, like, for instance, years ago, very popular, or still popular, were V6 S10s. And now V8 S10s, a lot of people do swaps. And this is actually a socket that I made several years ago specifically to do that plug that's underneath the steering column you can't get a straight deal on. And you can't, So you're going to need to know exactly what you need as far as tools go before you get started. Now, specific to the generic tune-up, right? That's okay. You're going to need a timing light. Ignition timing is the cornerstone of all engine performance. So, no matter what you do to the rest of the components, if the timing isn't right, you're just pissing in the wind. And we're going to do a whole big thing on timing in just about a minute, right? You're going to need a feeler gauge. You're going to need this to gap your plugs, and if you're dealing with a Ford or a Chrysler product or just about every import that has points, you're going to need this to gap your points also. Now let's say you're dealing with a General Motors car from 1955 to like 1974. You can't use one of these to set the points. For those, you're going to need one of these, a dwell meter. Because the way those distributors are set up, they have the vacuum advance, they have the centrifugal advance mechanism mounted on top of the distributor, so you can't get in there with a feeler gauge to set the points. They're set with one of these, and we'll cover that when we get to the distributor part, or the distributor installment of the series. A vacuum gauge is a good thing to have, and we'll explain what you're going to need, how that works when we get to that point. What else? Okay, so those are the basic tools that you need to perform a tune-up. Of course, screwdrivers and whatnot. Now, before you get started, as we said, right, ignition timing is everything. If the timing is off, nothing is right. So the very first thing you want to do before you dig in and before you start swapping parts is to make sure your timing marks are accurate. Before you can use the timing light, before you can do any of that, you got to make sure that you're on target. So, and here's what happens. These cars, a lot of them are 40, 50, 60 years old. And the harmonic damper, the part that bolts to the front of the crankshaft, is two pieces, right? You've got a solid hub, and this is like 99% of what you're going to come across. You have a solid hub in the center that bolts to the crankshaft, and then on the outside you have the actual damper itself, the inertia ring it's called. And between the hub and the inertia ring is a piece of rubber, okay? It's sandwiched in there. And what happens a lot of times over years, over hundreds of thousands of miles, this inertia ring will slip on the rubber. So while this is keyed directly to the crankshaft, and this is going to always be an exact representation of where the crank is, this part here may not necessarily be. So, and I'm going to explain all of this in a minute. Let's go over to this engine. So here what we've done is, we've got the number one cylinder top dead center, and here's the mark on the damper. And here's the mark on the timing cover. So obviously when you've got the timing light on this thing, what's happening is the light is flashing every time this comes into sync. And depending on where it comes into sync is where your timing is. So let's just say, for the sake of example, you see the light the light flashes while this mark is corresponding with here. So you know that this is mark 10, that's 10 degrees before top dead center. So how do you make sure that this relationship is still valid? Okay, now you have to pretend we've got a cylinder head on this engine. For demonstration purposes, this is the easiest way to show you how to do this. Okay, I'm going to use a screwdriver. What I recommend you do if you're going to do this yourself is use like a long piece of coat hanger, right? You know, wire coat hanger. Cut yourself a length that long, a little bit longer, because there's less chance of damaging things this way. But a screwdriver will, as long as you go gentle and easy, a screwdriver won't hurt anything either. So what you do is, you insert the screwdriver, you bring your timing mark so that everything is basically where it is right now, okay? And put your screwdriver in through the spark plug hole so that it's contacting the top of the piston. Then what you do is, you rotate the motor backwards a little bit. Now as you rotate the motor backwards, as the piston goes down, if you've got this in the spark plug hole, as the piston goes down, the handle of the screwdriver is going to come up. So then you come back the other way. And again, as the piston goes down, the handle of the screwdriver is going to come up. So what you want to do is find the space where the screwdriver doesn't move. This is dwell, okay? There's a period of, and it varies from engine to engine, there's a period of time where the crankshaft will rotate 2, 3, 4, 6 degrees, right, back and forth, and the piston will stay stationary. So what you want to do is find that area of dwell right between where the screwdriver moves and doesn't, right, and split the difference. Now when you split the difference, in other words, you've moved the damper this way, and the screwdriver hasn't moved, that means that you have found top dead center. At that point, these marks should line up exactly. If by some chance this is off, you know, double check yourself, make sure that you know that everything is where it's supposed to be. I burned myself. I did this about an hour ago. I had a vibration on my daily driver. I stuck my hand in there and it got stuck against the exhaust pipe. It just melted the skin. Occupational hazard. You would think after 45 years of doing this stuff I would know better. So at any rate, you've split the difference. You know that the screwdriver hasn't moved. You've split the difference there. This lines up. You're good to go. If by some chance this is off, that means that the inertia ring has slipped on the hub, the rubber's gone bad, you need a new damper. You can't do anything else with this project until you've taken care of that issue. So, advanced case, what you want to do is make yourself some really good timing marks. So, this is one off of, actually this one is off of Project Bottle Rocket. So what we did here is, this is the mark that lined up, and we, you know, obviously we went through this procedure, and this mark lined up perfectly with the timing mark on the cover. So what we did was, we took a blade and we dug a deep, you know, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, it's going to affect the timing and the balance. No, it's not going to affect the balance. Don't worry about it. We made a nice deep mark in there and we painted it white. Then, here's how you do this now. A lot of you guys, you know what timing tape is, right? You put it around the damper and it'll show you, you know, all of the degrees to, you know, all the way around the damper. Timing tape tends to flake off and get all, you know. So I like to make permanent marks. And the way you make your permanent mark is this. Come here and look at this from the 0 mark to the 10 mark, right? If you measure between the 0 mark and the 10 mark, that's your distance for 10 degrees of rotation on the damper. So what we do here, come back here, is make a mark right there. So here's 0 and here's 10, right? So then we moved it again and here's 20. Now when you're timing an engine for total timing, your action zone is all around 30 degrees. So what we did was we put a big mark at 30 degrees right here. So here's 0, 10, 20, 30, and then we split this because we don't need to know where 40 degrees is. We need to know where 35 degrees is, right? And so that's what this mark is right here. This is half the distance, that's 35 degrees. And then this one here is at 40 degrees. So generally speaking, for a performance application, all of your timing is all going to be total timing, not initial timing, and we're going to talk about that down the road, but all of your major timing is going to be between 30 and 40 degrees, usually 30, 35, 36, 34, it's going to be someplace in that range. So that's why it's important that you make these marks right here. That all makes sense, right? So the next installment, we're going to talk about spark plugs and all the different variations, all the different ways you can gap them, and the right things and the wrong things to do, and when to use anti-seize and when not to use anti-seize and crush things. So we'll do that on the next installment in a few days. So I guess that's about it. I'm going to go heal somewhat, and I'll see you tomorrow.